The only president I ever voted for is Hillary Clinton. Is that funny or what?
That is funny.
That's funny.
Mine is Mitt Romney.
Oh my God, dude. So that's the only person I ever voted for.
That's actually incredible.
Yeah.
That should be like your card that you play. I voted for Hillary Clinton. Like that, that can kind of get you out of almost anything.
Yeah, I let the comics understand who I am as a person, then I'll start revealing these things to them, and they're like, "Wow, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." It's like, but then I think it was the last phase I went through was like the libertarian phase. In between, there was like whatever, lots of Jordan Peterson and all that bullshit. You know, that Zionist fuck. You know, whatever. It's fine. But benzo addicted fucking retard. But then I was like, once I got past the libertarian phase, where you're like, wait a minute, I kept like, obviously all these things were wrong. And then when you look back at these people and they're like, the libertarians are funny because they always go, no, we have to stand on principles. We have to stand on principles. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, that's what I mean being an adult. Like, you kind of see how it works from like a higher level. And you're like, oh, this is all stupid to like pick a team. This is all dumb. And then the libertarians, like with their principles, I'm like, this is like, you're in war. This is like being in war and people are firing at you and you're in a bunker and you're like, I would never use a gun. Yeah. And you're like, well, things should change quickly. Because if you're not going to pick up the gun, you're just going to be killed. You know? And it's like they see Trump getting, you know, like politically persecuted, which I see that, and because I kind of want to be like, I would love to be a dictator. We've talked about this before. It's like my dream. Like I don't give a fuck about comedy. I don't want to be a professional comic. I want to be a dictator. I want to like rule. So and I used to think like it wasn't possible, but now I see like political persecution happening from like state attorney generals and like the United States Attorney General and like the DOJ. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, it's becoming possible
for sure.
They're laying the groundwork for a dictator to step in there and fucking lay the hammer down. So I kind of like seeing what's going on with Trump. But with the libertarians, they're like, we can't play their games because people will be like, we should just go back and do it to them. And I'm like, well, you kind of have to now. Like these are the new rules, and libertarians are like, it's immoral. And I'm like, what are you talking about morals? They're going to put you in the camps, dude. Put them in the camps first.
There is a beauty in knowing that we operate in a flawed system, because what it says is that things, like even as things are bad, things can always be better. You don't want everything to be perfect. If everything operated perfect and this was the world we lived in, we'd be fucked. It would be over very quick. As soon as any kind of deviation kicks in, like we'd be all fucked. You got to know, like that's like an amazing thing about being a human, is just knowing that every single person on earth has no idea what they're doing. They have a perception of what they think is right, and that perception is just from years of whatever external factors have driven them. But ultimately, everyone at their last day is in their deathbed and they're sitting and they're thinking about their life, and pretty much every person is like, fuck, I lived this wrong. I did the wrong shit.
Lots of people think that,
Yeah, the fact that we've gotten to this point and that things are actually functioning is pretty incredible. It actually speaks pretty highly, I think, for the human race in general. But I think, I don't know, we look at like Trump and shit like that, and we think it's this problem, but like really it's like pointing out the problems, you know, that we have. It's like you need guys like him. You need just something to go in and just kick shit up. And then now we see, you know, the Gophers are popping their head out of the ground. We're like, oh yeah, this shit is a little fucked up, you know?
Yeah, and it's like him being persecuted is like actually right. So if you're like a Christian, you're like a Trump guy, it's like, he's obviously extremely corrupt.
Yes.
You know, don't get me wrong. I like Trump. The guy's the funniest president
very funny,
we've ever had. And so I appreciate him in many ways. But it's like, if we had a functioning society in terms of like the law, then he should be getting dragged in court.
Correct. Yeah.
You know? And that's like, that's another part of growing up. You become like super law and order, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I'll even talk to, I love bothering liberal women. It's like one of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm hitting on them. I was telling you that story the other day. But I find that the one thing I can get them to agree on is I'll be like, if I was king or whatever, dictator, I'd be like, you know what we're doing with the rapists? We're executing them in public. And liberal women will be like, okay. I'm like, see, you're a little more right wing than you thought.
Yeah,
because they fucking hate rapists. I'm like, who doesn't hate rapists?
Yeah.
Like, because I had a whole plan, like we cut taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
How we make up for that revenue? We're gonna sell out stadiums and do public executions of rapists.
Yeah, that's pretty good,
dude. It's like we'll have a band there to like open for the execution. We can have like maybe
or something.
Yeah, and we could do it old school, like put them, you know, in the gallows. Maybe get 5 rapists, put them in the gallows, fucking snap their necks, and everyone's cheering in a stadium.
Yeah.
Charge money, bring in revenue.
Not to mention all the extra seating you could fill in there because you don't need like an entire football field, you know?
No, exactly. Oh, yeah. We can have people sitting like, there could be standing room on the field.
Could be, dude, you see fucking Taylor Swift there because she's got like her eyes on the executioner, you know? Like,
she's dating the executioner.
Yeah. Joe Buck is announcing it.
There's rumors about her maybe dating the executioner.
Yeah, exactly.
The executioner's just like fucking brolic white guy.
Who refuses to comment.
Yeah, that's the like. I'll transition. Like Travis Kelce will no longer be a tight end. He's going to work for the state.
Yeah,
and be
exactly.
An executioner.
That's
wear a black hood.
What a great way to save these football players who have short-lived careers. Most of them. You know?
Can be an executioner into your 60s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Easily.
It's just a lever. I'd imagine it's not like it doesn't take a whole lot of strength to pull that.
No,
thing.
I think he'd be fine.
Yeah,
he'd have a long career. He'd be compensated well.
Yeah.
And everyone would get on board because we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, imagine like having a favorite executioner, like a jersey,
debating who's the GOAT.
Yeah.
People will be like, well, you know, Travis had that one.
Yeah.
No, those guys snapped their necks. They all suffocated.
Yeah, last season he had more drops than anyone else. Like, the drops are actually good. It's people fucking,
And then other people will be like, but they suffered more and they deserved it.
Yeah.
So that does make him the GOAT. They go back and forth.
Yeah. Do you ever think about like which way you would like to be executed if you had to be?
Firing squad.
You think so?
I hadn't thought about it, but that's an easy answer. Yeah.
Why, you think?
You get like the way you do it. It's like, you know how they'll put different people with guns. You'll have like 10 guns aimed at you.
Yeah.
So that none of them know who kill you. Right. So that's like a load off their conscience.
Okay.
And you're definitely going to die.
Yeah.
Like everyone's aiming at your head. Like 10 people are shooting at your head. You're going to die.
Yeah.
You're not going to, because if you're going to get hanged and it doesn't snap your neck, then you're just going to suffocate.
That's going to be tough.
That's horrible.
That's bad.
And then like poisoning, that could go bad.
Yeah.
That kind of always
goes. The chair
goes.
seems like
chair
a rough
could
go.
go bad.
Yeah.
You go firing squad 100%.
Do they still, that's like, is that like a popular one, you think?
I don't even think they really do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do.
What? Yeah. It's got to be, it's probably like a lethal injection now.
That's
which,
like,
by the way, super lame. Like if we're going to do this at all, there needs to be some kind of pizzazz to it.
Yeah.
Like what's the point of putting someone down and having it in like a room where you just put an injection, there's a family on the other side of glass. Like you said, there should be like, you should hear like da 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 when the executioner comes out and a crowd full of people fucking hammer.
And there's a light show.
Yeah.
Dude, like this is what I'm saying. This would literally bring the country together. It would be a beautiful thing. And you'd have a lot less crime. You'd have a lot less crime.
Because not only would you not want to die, but you wouldn't want to face the embarrassment of having to go.
Yeah, of course you're getting embarrassed. Yeah, we could do it like fucking, march them out naked, shave their heads, like Game of Thrones style.
Make them do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy.
In front of a stadium.
Yeah.
And just bomb before you die.
Yeah.
No last meals. This is what you got to go hard, man.
Yes.
You got to go hard.
You got to make it hurt.
Start understanding that. Look what they did in El Salvador. You see what that guy's doing?
No.
It's like,
this is why I like you as a friend, though, because you know these are the things you're aware of.
That was like a cartel state, El Salvador.
Yeah.
And the crime has fucking plummeted because this president they got is just like, I'm literally going scorched earth on the cartels.
Wow.
And like, he's literally just throwing them in camps.
Yeah.
And you see pictures of them. I don't know if you see it. And they're all like kneeling and their hands are cuffed behind their backs and they're all like in lines.
Oh, okay.
And again, I'm like, I'm pretty fair. Even though I tend to make fun of liberals more, but I'm pretty fair, and I think Republicans are also retarded.
Correct.
But this is where I'm like with liberals. I'm like, you got to give us a little leeway here and let us kind of do some stuff. Like it works.
Listen,
like it really works.
What would be better for the migrant crisis than a president in Mexico who's executing cartel members?
Exactly.
The reason everyone's leaving is because like they don't want to see their dog skinned in front of them.
Yeah.
And their children like drowned, basically. Like every day in the United States is a million times better. And the fact is, now they've realized that, and that's why they keep coming.
Yeah,
like,
so
nobody wants to move. Nobody ever wants to move locations.
It's true.
So make it a little bit better by just severing the heads off of people, scaring the cartel. But the problem is, I guess, that we're also entrenched in this drug trade, the U.S. So it's kind of like it's our problem on both sides, I guess.
It's kind of a mess, but it would be nice to see them kind of lay
Step
the hammer
things up.
down.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it like. We're at a point. What I think, this is why I'm big on the dictator thing. It doesn't have to be me,
but you want it to be.
I really want it to be me, but I want to be in my 40s because I don't think I'm ready yet.
Yeah,
I want to be like
you're not, but you're getting there.
I know. I want to be like 46. That gives me 16 years to really like, sharpen things up.
Yeah.
But whatever, if it's someone else, that's fine. But because you kind of like literally need someone to because this is the other thing that I realized about growing up is you especially politically, if you want to understand things politically, you just ask simple questions that you never questioned before. Mm-hmm. So you're like, is democracy good?
Yeah.
Because obviously the knee-jerk answer is like, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
But you start thinking about it some more and you're like, not really. It's not really any better than any of the alternatives. It's just like...
It just hasn't failed yet.
Yeah, and there wasn't like some guy with a mustache who was like yelling a lot.
Right,
we don't have one of those. Even though there definitely have been, just not as famous.
It is funny how the mustache has been completely... it's completely disappeared from politics.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's only because of the ones who wore it were very successful at politics, I'll say.
So you would think it would incentivize more people to do it.
Yeah.
But that, like, you need someone who would win and just literally, like, because the Supreme Court would step in. They'd start doing these things. Mm-hmm. And the Supreme Court would step in. This would be the determining factor here. He'd start doing some wild shit, right? Like just getting things in order.
Yeah.
I think things that...
Setting the tone.
Setting the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, set the tone out the gate.
Yeah.
Just fucking iron fist.
Yep.
Okay? Supreme Court's going to step in and say, this is unconstitutional. You need the guy to go, thank you. Appreciate your advice.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah.
Nope.
We're not doing that. Like, literally just ignore them. Be like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm aware of your concerns. Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing them to my attention.
Yeah.
We're going to continue.
And, this is an interesting thing, too, because a lot of liberals are young women. Young women are mostly liberal. I would say, like, throughout the country, most young women are liberal. And what young women like more than anything is a man who makes decisions for himself. So it's going to take someone who gets into this position and does it anyway for them to see what is really what they want.
Yeah, you know what? This is a good... Maybe it shouldn't be me because it should probably be someone more handsome.
Maybe someone more handsome, at least before you.
But he could be a puppet. Like, find a really handsome guy. I'll just be in his ear.
Right. Yes. You do have more of a...
That would be better. Be like a Steve Bannon type figure.
Yeah. You do have more of like a Lord Varys, like kind of like from Game of Thrones.
I love Varys. He's like my favorite. Yeah, dude. That's great.
Yeah. Because, I mean, listen, you're not going to have the fame. You're not going to have the ultimate wealth, but you're also not going to have the prosecution or whatever outcome happens, because it doesn't last forever. Nobody is the perfect leader forever. That day of reckoning is going to come for whoever it is. But if you're the guy calling the shots, taking a step back, that guy gets executed. Next guy comes in. Guess who's still there? Guess who was the best advisor on the last?
It's true.
Unless the new guy wants to do what your plan is to just wipe out the entire,
It could. I mean, maybe that would end poorly for me. But that's why the first guy, the handsome guy's got to be good.
Yes, yeah.
Because you got to show people. It's like, I know you're scared. and I know you think it's bad. Show them that it works. It has to work. That's the most important part.
Yes.
It has to yield incredible results.
Right.
You know, get this place like, you know, you could start in a city even.
Right.
Get it to the point where you could walk around alone, where women can walk around alone at night in New York City.
Yeah.
Just be like, see what we did?
Exactly.
Let's expand this.
Yeah.
Let's bring this to the rest of the nation.
Now petty crimes. Now we're going to go to petty
Then we
crimes.
get to jaywalking or spitting gum on the street. Then we're in Singapore territory.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we're like...
And things are going well over there.
Yeah, you get some lashes. Singapore's fucking dope, dude.
Yeah.
It's like the safest place in the world.
Do you think if we started with teachers disciplining kids physically, and I don't mean like a rough hand job, that seems to be the way that they're going. Do you think if we started with that and then the kids, the youth is it's kind of ingrained in them that, you know, acting out, being, you know, doing things that are illegal, whatever it is, leads to physical pain. That's like a part of their registry now. Do you think that would make it easier to then, I don't know, start introducing some of these ideas?
It's an interesting point you bring up. I think we're like really game planning this. Yeah. I think it's good to kind of start ingraining that from a young age, obviously. Because like that's another thing.
Were you hit as a kid?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't. But I didn't have to be because I'm smart.
Right.
You know? But I think because it's like there's a certain type of person you gotta hit.
Yes.
It's just not gonna get through any other way.
Right.
But I would be reluctant to give teachers that much power until we do a little cleaning up of the teachers.
Yeah.
We need to get the right people in those positions because let's be honest, a lot of the people we have right now who are teachers, they belong in the camps too.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
See a lot of teachers in those camps.
I think most people would agree about
and they're labor camps. Let's be clear.
Yeah, yeah.
These are labor camps. They're going to do hard labor for 10 years, maybe 20.
And maybe let's change the word camp. Just because of the history.
What should we call it?
People are hesitant to go to a camp that is not somewhere in the
I know.
woods
Well, they're not really going to
s'mores.
have a choice.
Yeah.
But if you want to change the wording, then I'm open to it. What do you think we should call it?
I think a
retreat.
I was going to say retreat. Yeah. I think because nobody loves a retreat more than teachers love retreats, dude. It's during summer, so they associate it with vacation.
Yeah.
It's a teacher's retreat, and it's
teachers
a little
conference.
tough.
It's a teachers conference.
It's a teachers conference. Yeah, yeah.
And you lure them out.
And
then you give them a pickaxe and you close the gate.
Yeah, yep. And you say, this is not what you thought it was going to be, but it's what you need.
Yeah.
That's what you need
exactly. It's like, I know that looks like a lot of coal, and it is.
And it is.
And it needs to be broken down into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
And when you finish, we're bringing more coal, okay?
Yeah.
But when you're really done in 10 years, you'll be older, wiser, better worker, better family man or woman. You know?
Yeah. And the gift they give you is not that you get to stop. The gift is never that you can't even let that idea get in their head. The gift is that at a certain point, new teachers will come in and they're going to be the weak in the group. You're going to have seniority over them.
Yep.
You're going to have to not only like show them how to do everything with an iron fist and a scowl on your face, but also like you're going to have to be the one to, I don't know. You're gonna feel better about yourself.
Again.
You get to, yeah.
Again.
If you're here long enough, you will eventually. What's a better reward than being a teacher? Aren't you going to be happy to be a teacher after that? Yeah. But then what do we do with podcasters? Because that's the problem.
Camps.
Okay.
I mean, retreats.
Who's not going to a retreat? What jobs are safe in this new world?
Farmers are safe. Lots of people will be
Construction.
safe. Honestly, it's like lots of people will be safe. I was saying to the comics yesterday, I was like, you guys are going to the camps for sure.
Yeah.
And they think it's funny, but I'm like, because it's like people who needs physical labor, who needs work.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I could probably use some myself.
For sure.
But I'm obviously not sending myself because I'm above that.
Yeah.
But a lot of these people, it would be very valuable for them. And I think in the end, they'd be grateful.
And it would be easy to get comics in.
Oh, yeah, they're not going to put up a fight.
Just tell them, you
I'd be like, hey, we've got a cot for you. You don't have to pay rent. Okay?
Yeah, it'll make you funnier.
Yeah,
How about that?
and it's like, run your bits by the other prisoners. I don't give a fuck. Like, you guys can start an open mic.
Yeah.
You make your own rules at the retreat.
Yep.
You know, like, it's fine, but you have to work.
Yes.
But in your downtime, you know, I've read a lot about the Soviet gulags. I've gotten a lot of inspiration from that, and I think, you know, they had a lot of good ideas. It's like Siberia. They did it in Siberia. We have Alaska. Like, we literally already have a prison colony.
Yeah, you need a desolate location.
Yeah, it has to be cold.
That's probably, honestly, the biggest problem with Africa and why they never became this country, this powerful economic country that can fight for its own and handle itself, is because there's not a location there that's not kind of nice to hang out. There's not like there. I don't know. I've never been. I know it gets hot and there's the desert or whatever, but you need the cold, dude. You need the cold. You need the cold because everyone experiences like heat, like hot heat. Even the hottest day in New York City is like comparable to other places in the world. But the cold is what solidifies you. That's when you look at yourself in the mirror and you realize no extra layers are going to make anything any better.
This is actually a thing. Like,
is it really?
Okay, so there's people call it like race realists, if you want to call it that. Okay, don't post this, by the way. You could post it, just don't advertise it.
I'm not going to
just silently. Post this episode and don't like post it on Instagram. Don't put my name on it either. Okay?
You don't want? Okay.
No, don't put my name on it. But these are good conversations.
Can I tag you on Instagram when I post it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. No, but I'm saying don't post it on Instagram. Just let it fly under the radar. Okay. But honestly, it's true.
I'm down
like
for that.
This is like there's actually some validity to it that it's called time preference.
Yeah.
It's like there's high time preference and there's low time preference. I forget which is which, but I think you want low time preference because that's people who have the ability to save over time. Generally, people who have low time preference do a lot better in life because they're always trying to save.
Right.
They don't just spend things. Like, they don't spend money as soon as they get it.
Yeah.
They, like, put stuff away and they save for the future. But if you want to track this back in terms of, like, societally, then the cultures that had cold and winter before there was, like, heat.
Right.
You know.
They had to save.
The ones who didn't have low time preference just died.
Right.
So it's literally they died off. Like, all the really, really weak and stupid whites, like, just died, you know, in the winter.
Yeah.
The ones that made it were like, all right, we got to be smart about this. We got to, like, grow our crops over the summer. We got to harvest them. We got to save. You know, we got to turn the meat into jerky so we could eat it over the winter, all this shit. And then people in the warmer climates, they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting because you're like, you don't even have to make it like racist at all. You could just be like, well, that just makes sense, kind of.
Yeah.
We get ingrained.
Yes.
That you're always thinking about the winter.
Racism in itself is interesting because it's almost like a giant crocheted blanket that has a picture of something that is disturbing to most. But if you were to take each thread of that blanket and separate it, it would look... First of all, it would get rid of the picture, and it would all make sense. Does this make any sense?
No. Okay. But sure. Yeah, sure.
Like, there's reasons why people are the way they are.
Yeah.
And it's not like, it doesn't mean that someone is less than someone else. It's just because that's how it is.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's a hard thing to accept because, in today's day and age, obviously, people, you know, stereotypes, whatever it is, like, it paints a bad picture, but it's like, let's look at how this all started, and maybe then it's a little easier to digest.
I don't think you do them any favors, any group, by, like, lying about, and trying to excuse, like, any behavior. That's why some of the most racist, like, for black people, some of the most racist people against black people are other black people who are, like, successful, especially as, like, black father figures. They got no fucking patience for it.
Right.
They hate it. And they don't like that it's excused. I saw a video that went viral that's like a kid in Philly jumps on top of a woman's car and, like, smashes the back windshield. And it's like a bunch of them are riding, like, dirt bikes.
Yeah.
And I saw the video. It was like 3 days ago. I was like, that's fucked up. Like, I hope they find that kid. Yeah. They found the kid as a white kid. Okay,
nice.
The whole crew was like blacks, but then there's this white.
Okay,
and the white kid did it, and I was like, I saw they posted his bail at like $2.5 million. I was like, fucking good. I was like, make it more.
Yeah,
because the fact that he was white, I was like, you don't behave like that. Okay, you don't do that.
Yeah,
and I'm like, throw the book at him. I'm like,
right.
keep that kid in jail for a long time. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, go harder on whites. I don't care.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
if these like state or city like attorney generals want to like do harder sentences on whites, I'm like, good.
Go for it.
Teach them a fucking lesson.
Yeah, you want to be accountable for your group of your tribe.
Yeah,
you want, because it ultimately makes everything stronger. And yeah, I don't know. Should we even keep talking about this? Should we dwell onto something else?
No, let's pivot.
Okay.
If you want to hear more about this, just listen to my podcast that you can't know the name of unless you DM me.
Yeah. So make sure you DM Dave. One thing I've been having, I don't know, you said you're kind of like pent up and it's been a long day. I
feel a lot better already.
Oh, that's good, dude. Yeah, you just got to get, this is good. This is therapeutic. I've had a ton of anxiety because I'm going to Austin this week.
Right.
And I don't know. I was curious to know your opinion on this because I've had a lot. I've been very busy with trying to get podcasts together, trying to get my stand up ready for when I go there, like all kinds of shit. And a lot of times in my life when something like this happens, I end up having a very profound dream, but I'm not exactly sure what the meaning is. So the other night I had this dream. It was me, my mom, and my youngest brother and sister, but it was like, it took place maybe 10 years ago. So they were all a little younger. My youngest sister was probably 12 or so in this dream, and my brother 15, something like that. And we're outside, and we're in an empty city, and it starts pouring rain, and we start to feel hail, and we're looking around, and we see a rush of water, like a tsunami, coming down the street. So we all kind of panic, and we run to my mom's car because there's no cover anywhere, and we're like, we got to just get in here and hope for the best. And before we get into the car, my sister gets washed up and slides under the car. So I ran around to the other side and I didn't see her. So she just something under the car. I went to underneath the car and I reached down and there was a sinkhole. And she went into the sinkhole and was just totally gone. And I woke up in like an absolute panic and just stressed out. And I don't know if you know exactly, if you have any ideas as to what that sinkhole might represent or what, I don't know if you look into your dreams at all or if that's ever been
I never do.
Okay.
But this is a fascinating dream.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible.
It was horrifying.
But there's water means lots of stuff.
That's true.
My understanding, water means lots of stuff. I don't think it's good. I think it's bad. I think this means that you're probably fucked. You know what I mean? If I could just like wrap it up and put a nice bow on it, I would just say, Patty, you're fucked.
Yes.
Dude. Like something bad is on the horizon. Or maybe you were just thirsty.
Maybe
you hadn't drank a lot of water before bed and you were parched. Yeah. Have you considered that?
I have not considered that.
And maybe the sinkhole was because you want to move to a bigger apartment.
That's true. That is true.
Because like you want more space, and like a sinkhole is like creating more space in the scenario in your mind.
Yeah. Wow, that's an interesting way to think of it.
I don't really do this much, but what I said is probably right.
Yeah. I'm just gonna live my life assuming that as well. No, it's interesting because when I was in high school, me and my friend Ryan, this was like the first introduction to Joe Rogan I ever had. Was we saw this one episode with this guy who practiced lucid dreaming. Like, do you know what that is? Like, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically like when you're in a dream and you recognize you're in a dream, and then you basically have power over your dream and you can manifest things, whatever. We were super interested in that because it's like the thing. It's like, it's like a superficial thing that it exists. It's like when magic happens, some kind of miracle happens, something that you can't explain is just true, inherently true, and that's always been interesting to me, stuff like that.
Did you ever have a lucid dream?
Yes. So
I have too.
You have. What was yours?
Just a couple times.
Yeah.
One time I was flying.
Like just flying around?
Like I was flying around. I was like, this is sick. And I knew I was lucid dreaming. That's the only time that I knew I was lucid dreaming in the dream. I think isn't that a prerequisite that you have to know? Is that...
You have to know,
maybe I only did it once then. But I remember thinking, like, I'm obviously dreaming because I'm flying and this is sick.
Yeah.
That was like a few years ago.
And then it usually evaporates pretty quickly after that.
Yeah. Then I couldn't, like, because when I landed and I went to go up again, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man.
Dude, it's so interesting. This is like such an interesting part of the brain because it's like dreams are interesting in itself, but lucid dreaming is kind of like potatoes and like whatever it's called. It's very like
meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes.
I don't know what you're talking. You're saying lucid dreaming is very meat and potatoes.
Yes. Yeah. Let me try to explain because when it happens, the things you like to get into a lucid dream. One of the things you can do is like in real life, you like say every time you walk through a doorway, they say practice a skill, knock on the doorway and say, am I dreaming to yourself? And what that does is it trains you so that if you're in a dream, you'll just subconsciously do that. And then you'll recognize that you're in a dream because it's very easy once you ask yourself the question, but it's hard to recognize before that. So, and then there's also things like if you're in a lucid dream and you feel yourself starting to lose, you just start spinning around and it keeps you in the dream. It's like such a silly, stupid solution, but it works. And there's stuff.
So weird.
It's so weird. But when I was in high school, me and my friend Ryan used to dream journal. We would keep our dreams and write them down. And you start to have more vivid dreams that last longer, and they involve more people in your life that maybe you haven't thought about. And it becomes more reality than dreams as you kind of know them. And that's like when we started to lucid dream. We would write them down so much that it was like we were kind of breaking into that barrier of the thing. And I remember my first lucid dream, it was after my dog had passed away, like my childhood dog. And I woke up and I was in my bed in my lucid dream, but I knew I was dreaming because I looked at my hand. That's another like reality check. And my hand was like all warped. I had like 7 fingers and stuff. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm in a dream. And sure enough, I was like, I want to see my dog. My dog ran up and talked to me. And I went upstairs and my parents were up there. And there was this book that we were reading before we started doing this. And it was just it was almost like a picture book about lucid dreaming. And one of the things they said is the people you talk to in lucid dreams, they don't speak full English. It's like kind of gibberish. Like they'll say like, hello, how are you doing today, Dave? Like something like that, you know, it's like kind of weird, but that's exactly how my parents were talking. So like, even though it's this world that exists in all of our brains, there's consistencies throughout everyone's experience, which was similar to like when I did DMT. Like people always say there's like entities, like these machine elves and stuff. And that is what like people see. You know, like it's like a real thing. And I guess like the controversy is like, do people see that stuff because they read about it before, or is it actually like a real thing, you know? But I don't know. Very interesting. Sorry, I just went on
You just made me think of something though. Because I always do this. I'll like bring something up and then be about to make a point and then forget. And then just leave it. I do this on my podcast all the time, and I'll listen back and I'll be like, I never even finished that point. But I was just thinking, because it's crazy, and you see all that stuff, and there's lots of stuff that you see in like serendipity that really made me like more religious. Like so many serendipitous things would happen. I don't even get surprised by it anymore, but you just notice it when you notice things, and like when you start to look out for it, you just see it and it happens all the time. And then eventually you're just like, yeah, that's just what it is. But I don't know how people are just totally atheist.
Yeah.
But it's like what I was going to say earlier when we were talking about the flat earth stuff all the way at the beginning is that it does sound silly. All this stuff sounds silly. But then you're like, tell me the scientific thing. And this is what I did an episode on. I did a whole episode just on what the Big Bang Theory is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was a ball the size of a peach. This is what they think.
Okay.
So they're like, they'll say to you, like, I have a friend who like is really atheist, and he'll always call God Sky Daddy to be really annoying. He goes Sky Daddy when he's making fun of Christians, and I'm like, dude. And I go, yeah, you that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, I know. Some Sky Daddy just like poof and everything appeared. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what really happened? A peach exploded.
Yeah.
And no one knows how or why.
Or even why it was there to begin with.
and this little peach, because I really thought, because I had never looked into it that much. I just like blindly accepted, like, oh, it must be true.
Right.
I never thought it was the size of a peach. I thought the actual theory would be like it was the size of the sun and it exploded and all that shit like hit each other and it made these big balls.
Yeah.
And then those balls became planets or suns or whatever. And no, they say it's the size, like the literal theory is that it's the size of a peach.
How do they calculate that? Like,
that's the thing. It's like, well, that sounds just as stupid. I'm like, if you're going to make fun of the Sky Daddy people, I get it. It does sound ridiculous. I'm on the same page as you. But if you're going to turn around and be like, it was the Big Bang Theory, it doesn't make any sense.
If you don't accept that theory is just as ridiculous as any religion, then you are now dumber than the people who believe in religion. At least the thing about religion is people forfeit part of themselves to believe in it. You know, they don't, not every like loose end is tied up by religion. Not everything makes sense, but they sacrifice themselves in a way that's called faith. They have their faith because they know the answers aren't there, but they say to themselves, I don't know what's going on. And nobody knows what's going on, but I know if I live a virtuous life and I believe that there's some thing at the end of this that'll make my experience on Earth, you know, worth it, or give me some kind of reward for being kind and whatever. Like, I would rather live that way because it makes me happier, you know?
Yeah.
And it seems so silly to just... Because eventually an atheist is going to be confronted with evidence of something. You know?
Well, it's like this stuff we're talking about. It's like the consistencies with people who are lucid dreaming and they see there are similarities between everyone. And then it's like with DMT, people seeing similar things.
Yeah.
And all these serendipitous things that happen. And I'm like, can you really like, because they'll just say everything can be explained by science. This is their perspective. Yeah. And I'm like, can't you be open to the idea that there are just things that are beyond that are literally beyond that are not like, that are like divine in a way or whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But they're just, because they'll say things like, you know, they would probably go, oh, well, no, they did a study and they did brain scans and this part of the brain would light up when this was happening. I'm like, what does that prove? Like, they're like, oh, no, because this part of the brain, you see the chart, it's turning yellow and it was red. And this obviously proves that it could be explained scientifically. I'm like, you didn't explain it. You just said something red turned yellow.
Uh-huh.
And now you're like, no, but they did the study.
Yeah. We've also gotten so far from the people who actually know what any of that means. Like the people who've invented these scientific theories and everything have died so long ago that now this is just like second-hand, third-hand knowledge that's getting passed down, and people like to pretend that it's all real because they read it, you know?
Well, that's the other thing. It's like even the people who are like the PhDs, they're just priests to an atheist. It's literally the same thing. They're like, there's a text, and then you'll go, because obviously, especially when COVID was going on, I would be like, well, I've looked into some of those studies and they're bullshit. And they'd be like, you couldn't possibly interpret it. It's the word of the Lord. You need a priest to do that. A priest HD or whatever. Like, they're like, you don't have a PhD, so you couldn't possibly interpret it. I'm like, how's that any different than a Catholic being like, well, you can't read the Bible for yourself. You need a priest to interpret it for you.
For sure.
I'm like, it's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's just your priest class. You know, the doctor is your priest or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing.
Between, because I know you're shifting into the world of Jesus and Catholicism.
Yeah, I'm a Christian now.
Yeah. Do you ever look into Buddhism at all?
No, I'm shopping. I'm actually like not even fully. I was saying the other day, I'm like, it's kind of like I'm a high school football recruit, and there's like a few hats in front of me, and I just the only one I know is I took that hat with the Star of David, and I just tossed that one. I was like, we already tried that, so we're not doing that. But then I'm looking, I'm like, this is interesting. I'm like, the Protestant hat looks nice. The Catholic hat, interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little goofy.
Yeah, the
Catholic hat's
like,
a little goofy.
Yeah, it's got like that rope across the top. It's like what?
But then the Muslim hat, the Islamic hat, I'm like,
that's still got
interesting.
the sticker on
I don't
it.
think I could do that one because that's too hard. Like
It's
I don't have the discipline. I've been a Jew for too long, and we don't have much discipline.
It's a little tough. You also have to change your views on people, some factions of people a little bit. Mostly,
I wouldn't have to change my views. That's the only thing I'd be ready for. I'd be like, are we throwing them off the roof or what? No. Come on, guys. I'm just joking. Come on.
Buddhism is like interesting to me because it's basically nothing. Like it's the whole thing about it is like you can try to live this life where you're completely separate from your ego and your possessions and everything, but you're not gonna.
Yeah.
Because we're flawed. And that I like that. That's like, look, there is something, you're never gonna understand it. So just fucking do whatever, you know?
Yeah, and I think like they all got good elements to them. I don't really fuck with the Eastern stuff too much because I don't like yoga and shit like that.
Yeah.
And people try or meditation.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's like big into that. My sister, and they're always trying to get me to meditate. And I'm like, I like doing the opposite of meditation.
Yeah.
I like when I'm laying in bed and I like toss and turn and my brain's just racing and thinking of all this shit. I'm like, this is the best.
Yeah. It makes you feel unique too.
And I'm like, why would you want to meditate? Why would you want to get rid of all that? I'm like, this is gold. I'm like, this is the best. I'm having a blast. Like, I love when my mind just wanders. It never bothers me.
No.
But I'm really good at just like stiff arming intrusive thoughts. Like I've been good at that since I was like 17 years old.
Oh, really?
I just kind of like taught myself to have really good defense against intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
So now it's like, obviously everyone gets them.
Do you mean intrusive as in like
the thoughts that are like, you're a failure, you're a fuck up, you're worthless, like all these negative thoughts.
Yeah, that's good to have.
I just fucking stiff arm them.
Yeah.
I'm like, now, next. Give me something better. And then stuff gets better. And then I'm like, all right, let's stick here for a while. Let's see what we discover.
It's kind of the same thing with like mental illness. Like we want to rid the world of mental illness, but it's like the things, the only possession you really have in life is like your own consciousness. That's the only thing that you have that's unique from everyone else. And it's like, no matter what you create, no matter who you are, what it is, you're kind of, you're influenced by people, and it's kind of like the result of this giant equation of everything that's happened to you. And it could be run back, it could be picked apart and I don't know, like de-scrambled so people understand exactly who you are and what you're coming from. But the thing in here, the thing that like sitting down and thinking about what is all this? Who am I? What's going on? That's the only real possession you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
And limiting people from exploring that, even if, those thoughts are that they're like, even if they're seeing human beings like that don't exist or they're crazy intrusive thoughts, it's like that. It's a beautiful gift that you've been given to have a mind that's powerful enough to like create things that don't exist.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get that, they could be harmful to society and whatever, but it's like, in a way, it's kind of a superpower that you don't understand. And that's why you're trying to get rid of it, Like who knows what schizophrenic people might be seeing things that are real, that like we're too neutered to even see.
Did you ever watch The Leftovers? Did we talk about this?
Oh, is that the one with the draw that it's like drawn kind of?
No. It's
that's a different one.
It's like a show, and it's like the rapture happens basically, but like no one knows it's the rapture.
Yeah, you were telling me about
this. And like 140 million people disappear or something like that, like all across the world.
Yeah.
Great show, dude. First 2 seasons especially, I would say. Honestly, like it's pretty stable. It's like 3 seasons. It's really good. It wasn't like the best finale, but it's hard to nail a finale.
It's very hard.
Great show though. But yeah, part of it is like this one of the one of the characters, or a couple of them, but one in particular, can see the people who he can see people who got raptured.
Oh wow!
And talk to them. And
everyone thinks
he's crazy,
yeah.
But you're like, and he thinks he's crazy because he's like, "Are you really here?" But then they're able to prove to him that they're real.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's a good show. It's a good show. I recommend it.
I gotta check that out, dude. I'm so bad at watching like anything.
I've only been watching things like, you know, I don't know, because I don't fucking like. I hate what they've done to sports.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Yeah,
you know, and they're like, even it's so expensive now. That would just be my default. I would just be like, what sport is on? Especially during this part of the year coming up.
Yeah.
In like 2 weeks when you got hockey, basketball, football at the same time.
Baseball playoffs. Yeah.
It's like you could just any night, you could just turn on and you're watching a sport. A good one. But it's like, even when we got like Hulu for like $75 a month, you know, like the live TV package, and still I'd like try to watch Eagles games and it would be like, this is local programming only. And I'm like, how many fucking
how do you
dude? And then it's like, and it's like you'd watch even like I have one of my roommates has like Peacock, which is all the NBC stuff. So I'm able to watch like the US Open, for example.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I'm watching the US Open. Oh, it's the quarterfinal and it's like Djokovic against Medvedev or whatever it was. Like the good matches? No.
Yeah,
they're like, we don't have this on Peacock. And I'm like, wait, they sold individual matches to different TV providers? Like, what the fuck,
it's
dude?
Totally
So you have to have fucking like 7 different streaming services.
Yeah.
I hate with this. So anyway, that's why I watch a lot of TV shows now, because I'm like, fuck you guys, I'm out. I just won't watch it then.
Sports are out too, because like a thing has happened. It hasn't happened in every sport, but in a lot of sports with the players, they're starting to understand their value, which is terrible for the sport.
Yeah.
You know? Like you can't have players who understand that if they don't show up to the court that night, notice how I use basketball specifically.
Yeah.
If they don't show up, people are going to be upset, and like they can kind of, rule whatever team they're on. And because it never used to be like that. Players used to be almost slaves to the game. You know, this was like they worshiped the game. They worshiped their sport. Their teammates were the brothers in arms who were with them.
It's also that there's no honor. The only sport that still has honor is hockey and football to an extent, because they're still violent. I feel like there used to be honor in basketball, like a little bit.
Yeah.
Basketball has zero honor.
Zero honor. And
Baseball,
you can tell by the way they dress when they're going into the game.
Like clowns.
Look like Captain Crunch.
But it's like they don't really care.
No.
Which like you don't have to, but it makes the sport better. Hockey has all these unwritten rules that make it awesome.
Yeah.
It's like every team, especially if your team has a superstar, for example, because people will ask like, well, the fighting seems like brutal, like it seems like gladiator stuff, like that they're allowed to fight. And I'm like, no. You got this guy on your team, like Connor McDavid. He's a phenom. Okay. These guys are like skating really fast and they have sticks.
Yeah.
You know, so you could really fucking hurt someone.
Yeah.
And if you're on the other team and they got a goon, they're going to be trying to hurt this guy.
Yes.
Okay. So you literally have to get a goon on your team. So that goon doesn't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
Because if that goon fucks with your guy, with your star, your goon you sick your goon on him.
Yes.
And then they get into a fight, and hopefully your goon beats the fuck out of him so he doesn't do that again.
Yeah.
And it literally makes the game safer. It's people don't understand that. I'm like, no. The fighting in hockey makes hockey safer.
Yeah.
So it's like, some guy gets a black eye, but he doesn't get a torn ACL.
Right.
You know? Like that's honor culture in hockey.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's a great sport.
It's kind of warfare in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, your strengths, their strengths. How do I use my strengths to handle whatever's going on? And it's so I love
and it's
sport.
like with the goalie, it's like if the goalie's going to covers the puck and you poke at the puck, and the guys on offense are always smaller than the defenseman, but your goalie is like you need your goalie. Everyone like supports the goalie. So if you like poke at his hand, after the play, after the whistle's
you're gonna get fucked up.
You're gonna get fucked up by the whole team at once.
Yeah.
Like 5 guys are going to jump on top of you and start punching you in the face.
For sure.
And you got to hold down your goalie. Like that's what it's about. You're like, listen, man, like if you want to fuck with someone, you can fuck with the defenseman or whatever, or this guy, but you don't touch the goalie.
Yeah.
And if you touch the goalie, we will fucking ruin you. Every game we play, especially when there's like division teams where they're playing each other a few times a year, it's like we're going to make your life miserable every fucking time we play.
Yeah.
If you ever touch the goalie again. Honor culture.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
I love
Makes sports better.
I love that in baseball too, because I remember we used to have, like, when I was in college, our coach played at St. John's, so he was a baseball guy and an old school guy. He was awesome. I loved him. And there was a time where there was a play at the plate, and our catcher at the time got smoked at the plate, and it was a little dirty, but it was still clean. And we all understood that it was clean, but he still told us to like go out, and he's like, the first batter, you're going to throw at their head. If you miss, you're going to throw at their head again. You're going to keep doing that until you get thrown out of the game. And our pitcher was like, yeah, absolutely. Because our catcher got injured, and that's the way to make up for that kind of thing and that kind of behavior, because it's like, no, we're men out here. We're not children. That's a child's move that he did, and we're going to prove that, like, we're going to stand up for ourselves, and that's beautiful.
That's also why teams do better. That's why, like, why do you think the Patriots won that many Super Bowls?
Yeah.
It's like that wouldn't be like allowed. No. Because you got these guys that set a culture that's like a team culture that's also like an honor culture. It's like you can't go like throw bands at the strip club the night before a game. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like we'll literally bench you. You could be a superstar.
Yeah.
You get benched. It's like we'd rather just go out there and play without you.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if we lose the game, just so you know not to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like
we deflated all these balls. We're ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to fucking win.
If you fuck it up by being hungover, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. And then it's like, but basketball, the reason why, like, basketball culture is just obviously bad because it's just become like, it's like rap culture.
Yeah, it's like style
and
being cool. It's based around being cool.
Yeah, and it's like being cool. The things that, this is another bit that I do, but it's like, honestly, it's out of love. It's like about black people being like less cool than they used to be, and I'm worried about them because I'm like, you guys have to be cool, especially black guys. But then I'm like, Drake's painting his fingernails.
Yeah,
like what's going on, guys?
Yeah,
you need to you gotta police this in house. This has to be handled by black men who are actually cool to call out these phonies. Because some of these guys get so much pussy that I think they just turn gay because they don't know what else to do.
Yes,
I think they actually got too much. They should that. I think that's what happens to a guy. By the way,
I would love to be gay if it was a result of getting tons of pussy. I guess
that's like the best way to get there. But still, it's like Drake. How does Drake happen? It's
I don't know.
He gets so many women that he doesn't even know what to do anymore. He's like, maybe I'll try dudes.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll paint my fingernails.
Yeah.
And then this is what happens. And then you get like that, like rap culture used to be cool. And now you see stuff and it's like fucking Lil Uzi Vert.
I know.
Getting like surgically implanted diamonds in his forehead. I'm like, okay, it's not cool. It's kind of gay, your obsession with diamonds.
Yeah.
And it's retarded. I'm like, none of that is cool. Like being retarded isn't cool.
No.
So I'm like, guys, like, can we get this together? Because there's still a lot of cool black guys. And I'm like, you got to do something about this.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting out of hand.
It's the same thing with, like, white guy. Like, we know our role as white guys, and we start seeing someone trying to act cool, and we're like, hey, buddy, knock that off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
put on a pair
of role. Like, whites have an important role.
Yeah. Put on a pair of jean shorts, flip the burgers at the barbecue. Let's fucking get back to our roots here.
And it's like the kid jumping on the fucking car, smashing the window, and it's like, you need to carry yourself like a white man. So you need to go to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, you need to learn your lesson, and hopefully you come out of there, with a better attitude.
Dave, we gotta wrap this up.
We gotta wrap. What time is it? Oh, wow.
That was enlightening.
Yeah, that was really great.
I love chatting with you. You're one of my favorite people.
Likewise, dude.
Thank you so much for being here, dude.
Yeah, of course.
So D-Namery, or Namery, I always call it Namery,
I don't really care.
On Instagram, if you're trying to get the link to that.
If you're trying to get access.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time, folks. Thank you very much.
Cheers.